Hey everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on Paranormal Zone TV. Thanks so much everyone for joining us tonight, and please give the show a like. And for those of you who may be new to the show tonight, if you would please subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate it. And tonight, my gosh, I've been so excited. I have Kristin Lee, who is owns the haunted Bellaire House, a portal to hell. And I want everybody to please welcome Kristin to the show. Kristin, thanks so much for joining us tonight on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. I know Dave Spinks, we did a little show on your haunted house, and I had so many questions. And we all want to know about this haunted house that you own. Now, first of all, before we do start, Kristin, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Kristin Lee. The house is called the Bellaire House. It's in Bellaire, Ohio. That's pretty much been my life so far since September. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister. I don't know what to say about me.
You're an intuitive spiritual medium. You
Correct.
are a Reverend High Priestess. I've never met a High Priestess before. What is a High Priestess?
The High Priestess, I am the High Priestess of the Ohio chapter of the Temple of Diana, and basically we are a big coven of women and men that work on the forefront to project love, project light, and just to educate people over the histories of the Strega religion. But also other members of the Temple of Diana aren't always Strega. We accept any kind of faith base within our temple. So we have a melting pot of different spiritual belief systems to where we can all learn from each other, as well as spread education throughout the United States and a couple of other different countries that we're currently in right now, just to combat the darker forces and, just spread that ka. The ka is that light that comes out of our heart. I'm also a Reiki master, and I do practice, a Reiki practitioner here in St. Clairsville, Ohio. Mm-hmm. But I do have my practice here in St. Clairsville, Ohio, too, where I have clients that come to me for psychic readings as well as mediumship.
You've been on television quite a few times. You've been on the Sci-Fi Channel, you've been on the Lifetime Channel, A&E, and the Bio Channel, all because of your haunted house.
That's right. Yeah, the haunted house kind of trumps my life. I wish it would have gone the other way, to be honest with you. I wish I would have been recognized for what it is that, I feel that my purpose here is on earth. But unfortunately, I feel like God has put me on the forefront of that haunted house, the Bellaire House, to kind of help other people. I do have a master's of forensic psychology, which in my undergrad is in behavioral science. So when investigators and researchers come to me and they do have families in distress from paranormal activity, they sometimes call on me to come in and do mental health assessments for the homeowners, just to see if there's any kind of mental instability that may be the cause to the root of the problem of their paranormal activity. So that's something that I've just recently started doing too.
Awesome. All right, so now what we all want to know is, how did you get involved with the Bellaire House? How did this happen?
Unfortunately, my family was affected by 2 flash floods in 2004, and we were left homeless. And we were very scared. FEMA came in and they did assessments on the homes. We were a total loss. We were 100% total loss. So during that time, I was still working full-time. I was still in graduate school, and I was at work one afternoon, and on my lunch break, I started typing in foreclosed homes because FEMA had come in and they only awarded me and my family $25,000 to rebuild our lives. So, excuse me, I found the Bellaire House on a foreclosed list, the Belmont County Auditor's foreclosures, and I called the realtor. And I met the realtor that night, and I signed a promissory note on the fireplace and the living room. And the next day, the bank called the realtor, and the realtor called me, and they accepted the bid, and a couple weeks later, we were moving in the Bellaire House. It happened very quick, and from what I understand, with purchasing a home, it normally doesn't happen that quick. But the Bellaire House did sit empty for about 4 years. I didn't know at the time that when you're purchasing a home, you're supposed to do research on the home to see about the land and to see about any kind of deaths in the house or anything like that, because I wasn't paranormal. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I just didn't.
Now I'm surprised, because you being a medium and intuitive, you didn't pick up anything at all?
Well, going through the flash flood and being homeless and sometimes sleeping on porches and sleeping in FEMA campers and sometimes hotels, and when those were full from everybody else that was homeless, then we would have to stay with friends and family. So my frame of mind was, I was working probably 20 hours a day, maybe getting four hours of sleep. So when I found a home, everything was just blocked. Everything was shielded. If there was any kind of paranormal activity, that wasn't on the agenda. I had not felt anything, because my goal was to get stability for my kids and to get a bed, a shower, a stove, a refrigerator. So as soon as I went to that home, I didn't feel anything. I'll tell you the truth of the matter. When I went in, the only thing that I was thinking about was, wow, this is a really big house. This is beautiful. The woodwork is beautiful. The kids can play in the yard. There's a fenced-in yard. The dog can run in the yard. We could put the bed here. So my mind was just focused on reaching self-actualization and stability and self-sufficiency for my family. If there was any kind of ghost schools or different kinds of energy, I wasn't letting it in. I just was totally closed to getting the family back to stability.
When you moved in, you still weren't feeling anything, and what happened, like your first night that you spent there?
I don't remember the first night, to be honest with you. I don't remember, because we were just in that go. I mean, our family was homeless. We had absolutely nothing. So I just didn't tune into anything. But shortly after we moved in, I would say probably 3 weeks after we moved in, things would start coming up missing. But at that point in time, I just thought, oh my God, I'm killing myself here. I'm so busy. I just must have misplaced it. You know, I just didn't figure out. I didn't put two and two together, because I was just trying to, work, and I was trying to make sure the kids were safe. And but I would say probably maybe a month and a half, 2 months after, when things started to settle down and things started to normalize, and I started to get back to work, like my metaphysical work and that sort of thing. Because all along, I still had clients, but I just wasn't able to take as many clients on at the time, because I was in crisis, and no psychic, no intuitive, no medium should take on any client when they can't help themselves. And that's the point where I was. So when I gradually started to get better and I knew that the kids were safe, that's when I took on a few clients. But I was asleep on the couch. I just finished a shift at the crisis unit, because I was doing counseling psychology at a crisis unit. And I felt the cushion go under, like somebody would sit down. And I opened up my eyes, and there was this gray figure of a man. And it startled me. I mean, it was full apparition. I've heard things, I've felt things, but I've never truly seen like a full apparition of a man. And it was, I'll be honest with you, it was like very translucent. It was, I describe it, please don't make fun of me, but I describe it, when you cook shrimp in a skillet and it turns like that gray color. Yeah. I'm such a girl, or such a cook, such an Italian. But anyway, that's what he looked like. And I could see into the foyer through him. So he startled me, and I was like, who are you? What do you want? And he got up, and I felt the cushion go back up, like the foam from the cushion rose. Yeah. So there was weight, and that which perplexed me, because I didn't believe that. Looking back, I don't believe that spirits can have weight.
Oh yeah, they can. Oh yeah.
So he turned around, and he walked into the foyer, and he vanished. And Bella, my dog, she was going insane. She was just barking. And my son, my youngest, he was, gosh darn, maybe 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that neck of the woods. He was just, sleeping, snoring like logs. he didn't even, nothing wakes him up. But, and I sat up, and I was just like, I felt like Rose on the Titanic because my son's father was on the other side under the bookshelf of the Bellaire House in a chair sleeping. And I'm like, Jeff, just like Rose was like, Jack, you know, and Jeff wouldn't wake up. And I was like, finally, I was like, Jeff, please wake up. And he's like, you're just having a nightmare. You know, you're just having a nightmare. You're under a lot of stress. We've been through the ringer, and just go back to sleep. And I was like, okay, that's probably right. You're probably right. And I just brushed it off like that. But, yeah, things got very violent in the house. Jeff, God love him. When we first moved into that house, he was just this awesome, loving artist that just, was just so cool. I mean, he was a musician. He was a tattoo artist. He would just do so many cool things with the kids, but he housed himself in the attic to work on compositions of music and to also start his tattoo business. So at one time we did have a tattoo business up in the attic of the Bellaire House. And he spent so much time up there. I mean, just so much time. And he became very distant. He became very violent. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And finally, our family disbanded. And then my oldest son decided, Ma, I don't feel comfortable here. I'm going to go ahead and leave because this house he says it's funky. So he left, and that was tough. So it was just Lane and I, and then my youngest son, and Bella, and then Jeff came back and he took Bella. So then it was just Lane and I, and just very, very odd things would happen. But eventually I didn't feel safe in the house, and we rented the house out, and we lived in Columbus for a while, and I took a job at a psychiatric hospital up in Columbus, and it was just my son and I, and then the renters didn't want to stay. They said that their children would start talking to things that weren't there, and her husband would go to the attic, and he became very distant. He became very angry and frustrated, and easily, like, barking, biting people's heads off. So the same symptomology was there. So at that point, I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew that there was something going on with the house. They didn't stay. They left, and I couldn't afford to keep the condo in Columbus, so I had to resign from my position there and then come back to Belair. But I didn't want to take my youngest son into that house, so he went to stay with his grandparents for a while. And Jeff Hefe, that's what we call him, is Hefe. He brought Bella back, so I felt good about that. I thought that Bella would be able to protect me. So for the longest time, it was just Bella and I in the house, and I was working probably 18-hour days just to keep up with what we had lost from the move and everything. And then I had a very good friend of mine. His name's Steve. He was a local DJ just down the street, down at Denny's Blue Angel in Bellaire. And he would drink some, He was a DJ. All musicians, not all, but most musicians drink and don't want to drive, and that's a responsible thing to do. So he would walk because it was a short distance to come to Bellaire, to the Bellaire House, and he would just crash on the chair. And I remember this like it was yesterday. He was yippity-yapping about all of his girlfriends and stuff like that, and we were just, laughing, just having a good laugh. And this ball, I had not lived upstairs. I just lived on the bottom. I even moved my desk in my office downstairs into the living room. And one of Lane's balls just started bouncing down the steps, and Bella started going crazy again. And he was like, I bet you have ghosts. And I'm just thinking, I don't know about that, because I didn't want him to think I was insane. I didn't want him to think that the house was haunted. I didn't want him to think that, because we went through the flood, because our family was separated, that I was going batshit crazy. I just didn't want him to think that. So he went upstairs, and then he came downstairs, and he went to sleep. And I went to work the next morning, and when I came home, all the kitchen cabinets were open, all of the stove burners were on, and I picked up the phone, the rotary phone on the wall, and I called him, and I said, Steve, I said, what the hell did you do in here? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, all of the burners are on the stove. Did you forget to turn them off? Did you forget to close the cupboards? And he's like, I didn't touch that stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, quit playing jokes on me. And he's like, I'm telling you, I didn't do that. And he got very angry with me. He's like, don't accuse me of something that I didn't do. And I'm like, okay, I'm not accusing you, but I'm saying I know I didn't do it because when I left, nothing was on and you were asleep on the chair. So you tell me. And then, another buddy of mine came over writing some music, and I disconnected the phone because I fell on hard times with bills, so I didn't need a phone. If I had a cell phone, I didn't need a house phone. So I shut the phone off, and there was no phone connected to the wall. And we're in the living room, and we're playing music, and we're writing this song, and all of a sudden the phone starts ringing. It's like, shit. What the hell is going on? And Bowman looks at me, and he's like, you going to get the phone? I'm like, nah, probably just bill collectors. They're bill collectors. They call me all the time. And I'm just like, ooh, what the heck's going on? And after he left, I picked up the phone, and it's nothing. It's dead. It's silent. And there's nothing there. But the phone keeps ringing, and it keeps ringing. And I take it off the wall, and I put it on the table, and I just leave. At that point, I said, you know what? This place is insane. So I left for, again. And I went and stayed with some friends. I went and stayed with my brother up in Pittsburgh. And then my good friend came in from Clearwater, Florida, and everybody came back home at that point in time. The house was full. There was family there. There was kids there. Bella had puppies. It was happy. Everything was great. And then things just slowly started going south. It was at its worst. And Bella was thrown up against the wall. I was pinned down to a bed. All I could do was look and recite the St. Michael prayer. I was pushed down the steps. And at that point, I said enough's enough. So I filed bankruptcy on the house. And I found a little townhouse here in St. Clairsville, Ohio. And, actually, no, that's, let me go back.
Okay.
Renters came again. A crew of construction workers came, and they offered me a really nice amount of money. So I was like, you know what, I'm leaving, I'm getting a little townhouse, and I'm going to just let the Bellaire House go. Well, they didn't stay. They sublet the house, and then the subleasers left. And then at that point, I'm like, screw this, I'm filing bankruptcy. So I filed bankruptcy, and September, it was done. All gone. The house was gone. I didn't own the house. I hightailed it to Massachusetts. I started my life. I had a really decent job working as a full-time psychic in Salem, Mass. Was working for the Festival of the Dead during the month of October, and there was just so much prosperity coming to me. I even found work as a psychologist on the North Shore. I found a place to live, put the money down on the place, It was going to be a great life. And then the attorney, I had found out through the code enforcer of Bellaire that I did indeed own the house. I still own the house. I called my attorney, and he said, they squashed the debt, and they made you take your house back. So you own the house free and clear.
Nobody would take the house. No, and so I guess they didn't even want the listing in their office, huh? Did they know about it?
No one knew about it. At that point, no one knew. And I wrote a book. I did write a book.
Right.
Because once I filed bankruptcy, I thought, you know what? There's going to be a family that comes in here just like mine. And I don't want this family to go through what my family went through. So I just detailed everything in the book. From beginning to end, every detail that I could possibly think of, even with OVPRI, Mike and Amanda McCalsister coming in and doing the first investigation. And anybody can write a book, but I thought these people are really going to think I'm batshit crazy, and I cannot lose my my status of my education. I can't lose my job because I'm a mental health professional, and my peers are going to think I'm whacked, and they're probably going to lock me up. So I was like, I got to get this stuff on video. So I got a hold of my friend Nick Battistone, and I said, Nick, can you come and do a documentary on this house? And he said, yeah, good luck, because I just started a media group. He says it's called Mercenary Media. So he had his whole crew come in. The whole entire crew came in with OVPRI and Kentucky Ghost Scouts. Out of Louisville, Kentucky, and we caught so much data. I mean, we have things on film at this point, and gosh darn, I disconnected the attics, or the lights in the attic. I disconnected them. So while we were filming this documentary, we had all seven, you see clearly, all seven of us go up, and we did an EVP session, and we did a ghost box session. On the ghost box, a little girl came through, and she said her name was Emily Davis, and she said, "Hi, Kristin," and she said she liked to play tag. And then you see all of us come downstairs. So we all were like, let's break for dinner. It's probably 11:30, somewhere in there. So let's just all take a break, because that was the first time I ever heard a piece of paranormal equipment actually say my name. I never heard anything like that before. And I never even played with paranormal equipment. You know what I mean? I just relied on what was here and what was here and what was in my gut. I never used technology. And that was profound for me, because thank God I had probably 9 to 10 people sitting in a circle with me, because I was perplexed. I never had something call me out like that. And we all broke for dinner, and I'm out in my Jeep, and Mike McCalsister's pounding on my door, and he's like hysterical, like, look, and I look up to the attic, and the lights are on. What the hell is going on? So that clip and the little girl was shown on the first, or I don't know what episode it was, but it was My Ghost Stories. Mm-hmm. And then they flew us out to LA, and Mike and I filmed out there with them for a little bit, and then they came here to Bellaire, and they finished things up. And then My Ghost Stories sold that episode to Lifetime and television, and it plays. You know, it kept, people would call me, you know, like my brother called me one day. He's like, you know what, Kristin Lee? He's like, I always knew you were going to be on Lifetime television. And I'm like, Larry, just shut up, you know, just stop it. And he's like, no, for real. He's like, just, you know, we always thought that you'd be on TV, but we always thought that you'd be on Lifetime because, you know, you would be in trouble or you would be doing stupid stuff, but never for ghosts. And I'm like, yeah, me either, brother, me either. So then other television shows started to catch on to the Bellaire House too, but that was the beginning part of it. And it's almost been, I think, 11 years, maybe going on 12 years that I've been dealing with this house. Then, unfortunately, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, I fell on hard times again, and I was forced to move back into the Bellaire House with my kids. And at that point in time, I had some other youth that were homeless. They were not in a good way, and they needed a place to live. They needed to build self-sufficiency. So we took them in too. My husband and I took them in, and we started our ministry at that point to get the kids off the street, get the kids off of drugs. And we thought that, well, you know, if we all put all this love and all this light inside the Bellaire House, it's going to be awesome, and these things are not going to bother us. And boy, were we wrong. It was just...
Did it get more active because of that, do you think?
Well, we did a cleansing. Let me tell you, we did a cleansing. Joe Estates came in from like up by the Dover, Ohio area, and Gina Palmer came in from the Wheeling, West Virginia area, and I helped them. We did like a 3-hour cleansing, and
so how did it go after you did a cleansing? Did it seem to get worse?
It didn't. It kind of tapered down. It really did. It tapered down. But I remember it felt like a house. Honest God, I was like, praise God, it's a house again. You know, it's like, woo.
Yeah.
But you know, it was Harvest Moon, and there's this awesome place on the roof where you can see the Ohio River, and the moon comes up, and it's just big and it's orange. And I always go out there and play a little guitar and just kind of give thanks. And I looked, and it's in the office area that leads up to the attic, and I was playing and just kind of meditating and just pulling in the radiant light of God, and I saw in my peripheral vision the little girl, and she walked she walked into the office area, and she walked up the steps, and I'm like, you know what? If that's all that I have to do is deal with her, I can deal with her, because the other stuff that was there, like the negative stuff, the dark mass, the stuff that would come up out of the ground,
What do you mean stuff coming up out of the ground?
Like dark masses coming up out of my cats. Come
that's
on, boys,
okay.
stop it.
Oh no, we love them. You mean coming out of the floorboards of the house?
Yeah.
How old's the house?
What's that?
What year was the house built?
We don't know. We don't know, because the reason why we don't know is the Belmont County courthouse had caught on fire, and the only we've researched since then, but back then we thought 1900s, like 1800s, 1900s. But in the kitchen, there's a brick that says 1924, and I feel like that's when they put that brick down, when they finally put that kitchen in. But now, this past February 14th, when Amy Jo came for her public tour, the Code Enforcer popped up again after all of these years, my buddy Jim Chase. And he said, and he speaks in riddles. This man, it's just almost like you have to put the pieces of the puzzle together to hear what he's trying to say, because he likes to make people think. He's very highly intelligent. And he said, you need to check with John Maddox out in Flushing, Ohio, who owns the Underground Railroad. And I'm like, why? And he said, just because. So what are you telling me, that this place is part of the Underground Railroad? Is that what you're saying? He's like, no, I'm not saying that, but you need to check it. He said, but I will tell you this, that Belair sits on top of catacombs. And he said, somewhere, and he's pointing here to the house, in First Ward, South Bellaire, and he's pointing to my house while he's standing in my kitchen, pointing to like downstairs in the basement. He said, there's a tunnel that leads to the Ohio River where slaves escaped. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, so what you're saying is, Mr. Chase, is that this is part of the Underground Railroad. And he's like, yeah, he said, but I can't say that until you get the documents and put them on a huge frame in the dining room. Then I will say that.
Wow.
So that's part of it, too. But behind the house, his cousin, Jim Johnston, grew up in Winding Hill Road, and he's the first person I met when I came back from Boston and came directly to the Bellaire House to assess what was I going to do with my life, because at this point I didn't know, because I was back in Belmont County and I certainly didn't want to be here. He told me that there were native caves and native burials up on top of my land, and I was just like, whoa. So we started to research that, and indeed that does happen. That did happen. There is native burials, there is native caves up on top of behind the house, and they were the Shawnee tribe. So there was also we even researched that it's part of the French and Indian War, that land all the way from Pinch Run, which is the most southern part of Bellaire, all the way to where the flood happened in Quincy, Ohio. So that whole big circle right there is just a ley line. And the Ohio River, my goodness gracious, you could see it from the office window. It's right there. So that's just that constant source of flowing energy.
That's right. You say that your house is on a ley line. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you find any doors or anything in the house leading to some kind of a tunnel?
I'll be honest with you, somebody needs to do it, but we did. The last renters that were there this last September, he had come to me in August, and he had said to me, I found a secret room downstairs. And I'm like, oh, you did? And then a month and a half later, he's got a chandelier falling on his head and almost hitting him by this much. And he just left. He packed that whole great big house up in a day and a half, and he said, come and do a sweep and just make sure that, we left everything in good condition, but we're going to go. Oh. And it just kind of fell in my lap at that point. And,
well, what did you do? Did you he showed you obviously where the door was. He didn't show you where the door was?
No, he said it was behind the furnace, and you could see where he had pulled the bricks out, or the bricks had fell out. We don't know. We just don't know. But there is definitely a secret room back there. But he had piled so much debris, on that back wall, that it's going to take probably 5 or 6 guys to pull that debris out and tear that wall down to see where and how far that tunnel goes.
Now, but Kristin, if there is a doorway to the Underground Railroad area, wouldn't that make your house even that more desirable and historical?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And also, too, Jacob Hetherington owned the land that the house sits on. He owned all those 20-some acres of land. And he was a very prominent coal miner. He owned coal mines. And when the Foreman brothers came from their neck of the woods up in, Ohio, Kentucky area, up that part, we always thought that just 42 coal miners died under the house from a coal mine explosion. But Rocky and Josh brought the list of 72 coal miners and 2 rescuers that died directly under the house. So there's so much going on at the Bellaire House. I'm just overwhelmed with the Bellaire House, to be quite honest with you.
So tell the viewers then what's going on underneath your house.
A lot of paranormal activity, a lot of stuff just kind of coming up from the boards of the house. When people come to the Bellaire House, even like private investigations or public tours, they hear doors slam. Yes, they catch EVPs. Yes, they have flashlights turn on and off, even with the batteries not in them. But most importantly is they get violently sick. Like the energy it just depletes you, it just drains you, and there's just, I can't describe it. I honest to God, I cannot describe how that feels because it happens. It's people sometimes call it like the funhouse effect. Yeah, that's how it starts. Like you start to get dizzy, and then you start to get nauseous, and then your heart starts palpitating. And at that point, I leave because I don't mess around. I leave, and I go in. I don't eat meat. When I know I have to go to that house, I cleanse. I totally cleanse. I start my prayers. I've got my Saint Benedict's on. I always wear my Saint Michael, always. And I just have to have that mindset to go in there.
So underneath the house is the mine.
Oh yeah.
Where 76 miners died, and there was an explosion.
Yes.
Do they know how the explosion occurred?
I don't know. That I still don't know.
So
I'd have to ask Rocky and Josh.
So you've got a mine. Your house is sitting on a mine, and there was an explosion with 76 miners that got killed. You have a doorway to the Underground Railroad. I would think your house would be on the National Historic Register with all this stuff going on. Is it declared historic by any chance?
It is. I just don't have... I'll be honest with you, I don't want to deal with the Bellaire House. I like my little... I'm paying almost $1,100 a month to live for rent because I don't want to live in the Bellaire House, and I don't want anything to do with it. I just don't. Kat Lang has been... she's helping me. She's managing it for me. We need help. If somebody wants to help us put it on the historical registry, great. But I honestly don't want anything to do with it. I just want a normal life. I want to be a mom. I want to be a wife. I don't want to be part of that Bellaire House.
So to this day, you still will not move into that house because of how badly it feels and the activity that's happening. So what besides this little girl that's haunting, have they made any connection with any of the miners that were killed in... Oh, they did.
Yes, they have, and multiple miners, slaves. They've even made, gosh darn, what was his name? What was that slave's name? Do you remember? Abraham. Yeah.
Oh, you were in contact with them too. Oh, so everybody that comes and does a paranormal investigation, they always come away with evidence. Do they share that evidence with you?
Some of them do. In the beginning, like November, December, January, nobody really submitted anything. I don't know. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't. And then Kat wasn't here, so, I'd unlock the door. Hi, guys. Here's this room. Thank you. Sign this waiver. God bless. Goodbye. Leave the key on the counter.
Oh my God. Now, has anybody told you, gone in there to do an investigation and then left and said, nope, I'm not staying here?
Yeah, lots of people.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, lots of people. And then one team out of Morgantown, they had maybe 1 or 2 EVPs. And this little girl said that the ghost said she was hot. And she was a pretty girl. She was very attractive. But that was probably that I know of the least amount of activity that happened, and that was on Halloween. They came on Halloween. everybody else, I mean, my goodness gracious, there's been people puking off the back of the porch because of the energy just being so heavy. It's just not a good thing. For me, for ghost people, for paranormal people, this is like a gold mine. But for me, this is a curse.
Oh my gosh! And then, so with your gifts that you have, you've never really had the desire to sit down and try and communicate with them to find out why are they in the house? Why are they haunting that house?
I have.
You have, and what happened?
Just recently. Well, it was the Amy Jo weekend when she came. I asked, what do you want? Why are you? Because Edwin, another part of this house is just a mess. I tell you, Edwin was the son of Jacob Hetherington, and Eliza was his daughter. He built the Bellaire House for his daughter as a dollhouse because he loved her so much, and he wanted to. And after he died, he left her. The coal mine. So that was there. But what I wanted to know, why Edwin, what did he do? Why? Because there's so many stories here. I should just write another book. But when Eliza died, because she died in the house, and I have her death certificate in the first book that's about the Bellaire House. It's called The Portal to Hell.
How old was she when she died?
In her 50s, and she died of pulmonary acute bronchitis, something like up here.
Well, how many lived in that house that you owned?
Oh my God! People tell me today that they rented that house. We used to live there. I'm like, really? You lived there? Yeah, I'll be walking down the supermarket, and somebody will come up to me, Kristin Lee, we used to play in your yard at the Bellaire House, and that place was so creepy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad that you're safe.
Are you I thought I read that the Bellaire House was one that your grandmothers would say, of all places, never go near there and stay away from it.
That was Chrissy Carter. Chrissy Carter is a psychic, and she did a lot of the research on the Bellaire House in the beginning. And her family, her Irish family, lived in Bellaire because Belaire's it's comprised of Italians and Irish. And her grandmothers and all the neighborhood grandmothers would say, don't go down by that house. That house is evil. Stay away from that house. But this Edwin guy, I found out through an old local, a very old local, probably late 80s, that Edwin was so grief-stricken when Eliza died that he contacted mediums, and back then they were called seers, and they would come and try to have him connect to his sister. Mm-hmm. So I asked him, I said, Edwin, was she more to you than your sister? And he said, yes. And I said, were you her lover? And he said, yes. So they were together. So he became so intrigued with, and the locals have told me this, because the older locals, they said that Edwin became so intrigued with the art of mediumship that he dove into it himself, and he started to use divination tools in order to contact his sister, who was his lover. Mm. So, and that did come through on the EVP session. That did come through, through the Ovilus and stuff like that. But just EVPs, yes, I kind of lean toward those more than I would an Ovilus. I like Ovilus, I do, but EVPs are Class A's when you hear something like that. Oh, yeah. So at that point in time, that's really all I wanted to know. What do you want with me? Because at one point, Mike McCallister would ask him, what do you want with Kristin? We're going to kill her. Kristin's an effing bitch. We don't like her. She's a witch. Just all these horrible things that whatever was in there, and I don't know if it was Edwin. I don't know.
Hey, Kristin, can I ask you something? With your not being in the house all the time and you letting investigators and people come into that home and then you leave the premises, do you know if any kind of black magic was ever performed in the house?
Not with people that are in there, no, because it's an honor system. Don't, you know what I mean? Just don't do that to the Bellaire House. Because if somebody would go in there and kind of project any kind of dark magic, mm-hmm. That's not cool. That's just totally a slap in my face and disrespectful. And I would hope that nobody does that, But will I ever know? No. No. But absolutely no Ouija boards. We do that. We don't do Ouija boards. I was raised not to do Ouija boards, So, and I don't feel like people, it's almost like, walking down the street and asking a stranger to come home to have dinner with you. You don't know what that stranger's going to do.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And I didn't mean to interrupt you. So continue on with you trying to communicate with those spirits that are in the house.
Basically, I just wanted to get in touch with the Hetheringtons, the family that own the house. Because it didn't dawn on me about the slaves, about the natives, the Native Americans, or anything, or the coal miners. I wasn't drawn to that. I was just drawn to them because I knew that was their house. I knew she died in the house, and I have seen her. I have actually seen her, and my cousin saw her when my cousin used to stay up in the attic. And other friends have seen her. We would, gosh darn, my husband and I, we had locks on our rooms on the insides. When the kids would be out and hanging out with friends, spending the nights and stuff, and it would be him and I. The last round that we stayed there, we would lock the bedroom door, and when we would hear the door opening up, the dog's at the end of the bed snoring like a hog. How did whatever it was, unlock that door and come in? It just, and at that point, he didn't feel comfortable staying there. So I figured that it was probably Edwin. I felt it was Edwin or it was Liza, because I felt like more she was the protector than he was. I feel like there was always a battle with me and him, and I don't know why that battle was. And I feel like he was really trying to keep me there, and I feel like he tried to keep me there because he knew I knew. To where other families just were like, oh, it's Casper the Friendly Ghost, or, oh, it's Ghostbusters. No, I know who you are. I know what you did. You know what I mean? And I know what you're up to. And that's why I wanted to communicate with him. I wanted to make peace with him. And when my brother Goat, when his name's Jeff, but we call him Goat. Everybody knows Goat that's come to the house. When he and I were in there one night, we have this on film. We asked, what do you want with me? And we had that, the K2, right. And I said, are you here to harm me? And it lit all the way up. And I said, and then Goat was like, do you want to kill her? And it lit all the way up. And at that point, I'm like, that's not cool. Just don't say that you're going to harm me. And then Goat was like, well, do you want us to bring people here? And it lit all the way up. And he said, do you want to harm the people? And it lit all the way up. And I said, do you want to just feed off of the energy from other people so you can be strong? And it lit all the way up, and it stayed for like a half a minute. So I think that that's what he wants, if that is indeed Edwin. I don't know if it is him or not.
Yeah.
But when we had Bishop Long come in for the beginning of October, when he was the first person that had an event at the house in years, because we had tours before, but we shut them down. He came in and he did a big lecture on possession and demonology, and that Ovulus does not speak in full sentences. It just doesn't. I've never heard it, but it did that night. And the things that it was saying was such a correlation to what was going on in other people's lives. It was saying people's deceased loved ones' names.
It was?
Yeah. And then we have footage, we have data collected where it says Bishop James Long, Bishop James Long. This part right here is something that I still I can't wrap my head around it, and I don't have an answer for it. I'd say probably 6 years ago, Mike McCalsister, OVPRI, and Kentucky Ghost Scouts were in that master bedroom, and they were holding an ovulus, and it kept saying, and it was weird, it was like, and it was it's like all these crazy noises that ovuluses are not designed to make. But what's more profound is the fact that Bella had her puppies in that room. She had 7 dogs.
Wow.
And it said 1, blessed be red dog. 2, blessed be red dogs, plural. 3, blessed be red dogs. 4, and it kept saying it all the way up to 7, and then it would go, real. So Bishop and I, we threw we didn't throw them, but we're not big enough to throw people. But we asked everybody to go investigate other locations of the house, and it was just him and I. And this black mist, he says, "Do you see it?" And I said, "I see it." And he says, "Be ready, because it's coming." And I said, "I'm ready." And it came to me, and I felt like I was, first of all, I felt like I was a corpse, and then I felt like I was going through menopause and having a hot flash. You know how that is. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like. And then, like, stinging all over me. It just felt like constant, like, pins and needles stinging me. And then on his ovulus, it said, "One, blessed be red dog," 5 years later. And then it said, "Demon, demon, demon." It said it 3 times, mocking the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. And at that point in time, I was like, I don't know, Bishop. Let's call it a night up here, you know? So we went back downstairs, and he entertained the guests and stuff, and I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know how could, I know people say it's just confirmation. Confirmation of what? What is that confirmation? You know, why would it say that twice? I know it was exactly the same entity. You can't tell me it wasn't. That was demonic. I know it was. But, you know, why are they picking on dogs? And I don't understand. That part I'll never understand.
Has anybody else gotten hurt or pushed in the house?
Yeah. My very good friend Chris Appice, she is the team leader of Paranormal Moonlight, and the house had been closed up for years. And when we first opened it up before Bishop came, I called her and I said, "Chris, I don't know what's going on in this house. I don't have any clue." I said, "The renters left again. Do you guys want to go in?" So she brought her team down, and Robin was up in the attic, and she was taken to Med Express because the wardrobe flew off of the wall and landed on her, and it dislocated her shoulder, and she was laid up for quite some time.
Wow.
Goat was pushed down the steps. He almost went through the second-story window. He busted the first storm window, but didn't. Thank God he didn't go out the window. Yeah. Gosh, I know I came home one night. I don't know what tour it was. It was recently, and I always kosher salt shower as soon as I get home, because I you know, my teachers, they've always taught me, when you leave any kind of a location that has activity, whether it be, you know, a wake or a funeral home or a graveyard for burying a deceased loved one, or even the Bellaire House or a metaphysical show, or even with clients that you're doing medium work with, you always, first thing, I don't care how tired you are, you kosher salt shower. Just sprinkle it on the base of your shower, swish your feet back and forth, and it's going to remove all negative energy, because at that point it's holy water. So I don't do that anymore. I just dump the whole damn box in the tub and I soak in it when I leave the Bellaire house. But I had noticed that there was just scratches all up and down my legs, and I'd felt like, I thought it was like spider bites, you know what I mean? When I was leaving, when I was walking out of the kitchen to go up to my Jeep to come home during a public tour, because I used to go, I don't do this anymore, and I meet and I greet and always cooked and made sure everybody was fed. I don't know. It's just, that's something that I always did. But the scratches were just, mamma mia. The scratches were horrible. And it took probably 2 weeks for them to fade. And I know I didn't scratch myself. I know I didn't. I had like on, you know, those leggings and a long sweater. It was still cold outside. So there's no way that I could have scratched, you know what I mean? Subconsciously, maybe driving home, being nervous. There's no way I could have dug that deep into my leg with those thick tights on. There's just no way. So I don't know. And they were probably about that long, you know, like that. Just like three of them.
3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't like it. I don't like going there. And that's why Cat Lang is in place. Honestly, that's why she's been taking care of it for me.
And is she any kind of has any kind of a psychic or a medium or anything? Is she anything like that?
She is. She works very close with Bishop Long. Right. She was trained by Bishop Long. She is the director of the Paranormal Clergy, who Bishop Long founded. Right. That. She's also an energy sensitive. And I don't know how to say it. She's trained in demonology. I don't know if I'm allowed to say she's a demonologist. I'm so sorry, Kat, if I'm screwing this up. but I think she is, because I know she assists Bishop on minor rites.
Mm-hmm. Now, I had read, I think it was on your website, there was a family that came in with 8 and ended up with 2.
7 and 2, yeah. That was the last round. Mm-hmm.
That was the last people that were in the house?
Yes.
How long ago was that?
They were there for a year and a half. They were the longest.
About what time, what year though?
They just left this past September.
Oh, it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you won't tell that story?
I can't, no. I can't disclose that. That's just, it's unethical to disclose their story. And plus, they have family members that are, threatening me. So I just keep that to myself.
Now, when you rent the house out, do you have to tell them it's haunted?
I do.
Oh.
And inside the contract, I always put, I'm not responsible for any kind of elemental, spiritual, or metaphysical, paranormal activity within this house. You're not to hold me responsible for any of that. And I always give them a 30-day clause. Look, you sign a year lease, you have something that's going wrong, you don't feel comfortable, just give me 30 days. I'm not going to hold you to it. And that's the way I roll. Because I know what it's like, you never know. The house is just so unpredictable. It just is. So, if there is a seasoned paranormal person that would like to purchase the Bellaire House or rent the Bellaire House, that's the only way I'm going to be able to feel comfortable. But I can't let the mundane, anybody that isn't seasoned or knowledgeable about this lifestyle, they can't. They won't be able to handle it.
It seems though that it's picked up a lot with people wanting to come there in groups and stuff.
It has. I wish it would pick up a little bit more so I can pay the bills. I really do, because I'm still taking money out of my pocket, which means I have to work 3 shifts a day, and that's no fun. So I do work probably 12 to 16-hour days just to be able, excuse my brother, he's a pig, to make the bills. But we do have one thing booked a month, but it is starting to come in. I did speak to some people today that are going to be sending a deposit. They booked 2 days. There's another entertainment company that's going to be coming in. There's a television show that's going to be coming in. We're not allowed to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
The date's TBA.
Sure.
They're going to be coming in. And then there's a couple other television shows that want to come in, but I have already committed to this first one. So we'll have to see what that contract's going to look like.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. That part of it's good, yeah. But they want me to come to the house and do interviews, so I will have to go in for a little bit. So better stock up on kosher salt, right?
Well, I was reading on your website the history of the house and how it all started. So so they talk about a mansion being built. Are they referring to your house as the mansion?
No, they're referring to the house that Jack built. Do you remember that old nursery rhyme? This is the house that Jack built.
Uh-huh.
That's the house, and that was Jacob Hetherington. They built that nursery rhyme about him. And Jack was actually a mule, and he would go into the coal mines and pull out the coal on a cart for Jacob. And Jack and Jacob were best friends. I mean, there's so many similarities between Jacob and the donkey and me and my dog Bella. There's just so many. And then Jacob would take Jack in to the house and bless every room. So they were best friends, and then poor Jack died, and Jacob buried him under the apple tree. Now, when Dave Spinks and Dave Weatherly and Mike were there the very last time, I did ask about Jack, because Jack has been coming up a lot, like the donkey. And I know that sounds silly, but that donkey is a very historical piece of Bellaire. I mean, my goodness gracious, that everybody knows about Jack in Bellaire. And I asked Jacob, I said, what about Jack? What do I need to know? Why does Jack keep coming up? And nothing came through on that. I don't remember what Dave Weatherly was using, but it hit me, and I was like, oh my God. It just it just kind of like psychic, you know what I mean? Like that voice started coming through me, and I was like, oh my goodness gracious, you want his bones preserved. So and I don't know where it is yet because I haven't been back to the Bellaire House since then. But I feel like the next piece that I need to do in order to rest Jacob and rest Jack is to figure out where Jack is located and kind of give him a better burial, get him, erected and make a big memorial for him, because that sounds so silly, but that donkey is just something that's very special to Jacob Hetherington, who haunts the Bellaire House.
Oh, I know. I was reading about that. Well, how are you going to find this apple tree?
Well, I can't find the apple tree, but I'm going to have to just use my intuitive parts to try to figure out where the bones are, and to start digging. I don't know, but plus it's also native land up on top of the hill, and who's to say that there's not native bones in the yard or on other pieces of the property? So if I start that process,
well,
then I'll be.
How far is that mansion from your house?
It's gone. They some people in Bellaire, this is why I say some people's kids, they decided to go ahead and tear down the most big historical monument in Bellaire.
But how close was it to your house, though?
Maybe 100 yards, if that.
On the same property?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
In the back or off to the side?
Off to the side. Yeah, they put up a great big hotel. And then the Patels said, you know what, we don't want to pay taxes, and they took off out of town. So now the hotel was abandoned.
No.
And it's run down, it's dilapidated. It's just a mess. It's a mess.
Oh, no.
So I know Jacob's pissed off about that, because what his land was, the First Ward, they're good people in First Ward. They're good working, hard people. They've just fallen on hard times, because the plants have closed down, the coal mines have closed down, the recycling centers have closed down, and people are out of work. So the town does look a little bit rough. Yeah. But I tell you what, you walk up to anybody and they'll give you the shirt off their back. They're not bad people in First Ward. It just looks bad, and I feel like Jacob Hetherington is like, oh gosh, look at my home, look at my land. This looks like crap,
But why would he build Bellaire House on top of the mine?
I don't know. I just don't know that. We can ask him.
Oh, yeah, ask him. I want to know, Jacob, why did you do that?
Okay.
I mean, isn't there a possibility that mine could collapse and there goes the house? Part of the house would go.
Right. You know what, too? Not too long ago, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, the mine goes all the way from the southern part of Bellaire all the way to mid Bellaire on Belmont Street, and it stops at St. John's High School, and they had to let the kids out early because of the gas fumes. There was a gas leak because of the coal mine, and the kids got sick.
It's still leaking gas?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Well, wouldn't that today be illegal, what they did, building that house?
yeah, the EPA would be all over.
Oh my
if there
God!
was such a thing.
Is there any access at all to that mine that's underneath your home? There is.
Yes. Yeah, Josh and Rocky were going to do it. They were going to go in the mine, but we've got to get with the village to get clearance first, and the village is going to have to put in some sort of a non-liable whatever.
Even though it's under your house. Now, do you own that mine because your house is on top of it?
No, well, the whole land is the mine, and there's so many houses on it. The tunnel, the portal that you can actually physically walk into, I would say it's about 300 feet down from my house. Oh. But you walk through that tunnel, and you can walk under all the houses that were built, including mine, and including Belmont Street. Plus, you're going to find catacombs under there that lead to the river. Whoa, yeah.
Wow.
Well, there's something else.
Now, what about do you have a hotel on one side of you and then another house on the other side?
No, the hotel's gone.
Oh,
the hotel is gone. I have 1, 2, 3. There's probably 6 houses between me and the hotel. But the house right next to me is abandoned because of the same situation. They just took off. And then there's the street. I don't know what that street's called. Between the house, the street, and then there's apartments right next to the street. And then there's a house on the hill where the mound is, and they left. They have a for sale sign up in their house right now. So little by little, people are leaving.
Wow. Holy cow. The house next door, so that's vacant, and they were having issues as well?
Oh, God, that was horrible. That was horrible.
What happened?
Okay, I'm a country girl. I grew up in Crabapple, but I've been to the city too, so I have some culture. But I was sitting writing my thesis, and I heard these gunshots, and I looked at Hefe, and I'm like, somebody caught a deer. He's like, you're crazy. I was like, no, I'm not. He's like, I heard the gunshots, bam, bam, bam. I hope they got a big buck. He's like, they don't deer hunt down here. You're in the city. I'm like, oh, well, what happened? He's like, and then all of a sudden we're barricaded in with cop cars. We couldn't even leave if we wanted to. Ambulance, social services. The neighbors next door had, the truth of the story is this. The kid turned a gun on the stepdad, and the mom took the rap for it because she didn't want her son getting into trouble. And the man was very abusive, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to disrespect that family. But they took the kids, they took her, they beat the hell out of her. We watched them beat the hell out of her, and they had no business doing that to her. Her face was bloody. It was a mess. And they took him out, and he was just limp from what they did to him. And we had never seen him again.
Oh.
So whatever happened there definitely was not good. And people moved in afterwards. And this is when the Bellaire House was all over TV. And they said, we have activity in our house. And so the McCallisters and the Carters, they went in and they started to do some investigations on that house. And they collected data on that house too. Then they left, and now the house has just been abandoned, and no one's been in it since.
Do they have it for sale?
Nope, but the back taxes are about $6,000. So if somebody wants it, go get it.
Oh, God.
And they can buy my house too.
Oh, oh man. Oh, my God.
Because my house is habitable and it's pretty.
Your house looks older. I mean, from the inside, it sure looks older than the 1920s, but I may be wrong, you know.
No, it is. We just can't identify that. We can't say this is how old it is because we have no documentation to prove it. So I'm not gonna. But if once we get, a hold of that Underground Railroad guy and he pinpoints, oh, there you go, then it's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
But I did put a phone call into him, and he hasn't returned my phone call just yet to confirm for me to come and get that map. But I have a feeling that he will. I just, I don't hound people. If it's going to happen, God is going to make it happen. It's just going to fall into my lap. I don't go looking for things.
The house looks huge.
It is, but it can fit probably comfortably, I'd say 10 investigators at one time. But if you have an event, we had our book signing in there. We had about 60 people in there for the book signing, and it was nice. It was a good time. So if there's like any kind of educational stuff or, lectures or stuff like that, you could fit probably 50, 60 people in there.
Was it 2-level?
Yeah. Well, yep. In the attic too. The attic's finished.
Oh, it's finished?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Basement's huge. The basement's really big.
Oh, a lot of activity in the basement?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
There was very few pictures on the internet on your house. Very few pictures. The pictures I got off your website.
There, if you go to the Bellaire House Facebook page, I have pictures of the inside of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was searching for pictures to show the viewers. Now, your house is not very far from the American Indian Mound. I think it's called Grave Creek.
Right, and the West Virginia State Penitentiary. It's 8 miles from south. Keep going south down to Moundsville, West Virginia. I'm only 8 miles from there.
Yeah, I'm showing them pictures now of the Indian mounds.
Yeah. So we always tell people that come to the Bellaire House, go check out the penitentiary in Moundsville. Definitely go there. And plus we have 3 rooms now where if people want to spend the night, make a haunted weekend out of it. Do the Bellaire House one night, spend the night, shower, eat, sleep, and then go down to the prison. They're more than welcome to spend the night. we have furnished rooms, beds, and towels, and so the only thing you got to bring is, toothbrush.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It has a refrigerator, a stove, so they don't have to order out or eat. If they want to eat there, of course, I haven't been cooking so much. I haven't because I don't want to go there. But in the beginning, I mean, my goodness gracious, I would make spadina, I'd make pasta, I'd make lots of salads and stuff like that, and people would come and they would eat and they would be okay. And we always serve breakfast too when people spend the night. I still do this, but Kat transports it. I make probably 5 or 6 quiche, and she takes them down, and people can eat.
How far do you live from the house now?
About 25, 30 minutes.
Oh, that far.
Yeah, west.
Oh, gosh. Now, how can people book events at the Bellaire House?
They can go to the Bellaire House website, or they can just call. They can call me on the phone. I'm very old school. I'm very old world. I like to talk to people on the telephone. So, I mean, you can email all day long, but I just feel like you get more of an idea, and there's no miscommunication when you talk on the telephone. They can even pay through PayPal. What we do is, we ask for people to put $100 deposit down to secure the date that they would like to come. And once we get that deposit, then Kat goes on the website and she blocks it out. So that way nobody else can book it. And then they just bring the cash or a credit card with them when they come to the door. Because you never know. I mean, say you're going to bring 5 people and then 3 of your friends want to come. It's just so much simpler just to pay cash at the door or credit card. And say, Aunt Judy gets sick and she can't come. And, why make her pay and not, because it's non-refundable. So we just try to be as fair as possible,
That's awesome. And you are on Facebook, but you don't have you just have a like page. That's probably why you can't send me a message.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I stopped the tours 5 years ago, I've noticed this because so many people are coming back into my life from paranormal. I dropped out. If there was anybody that had anything to do with a ghost picture on their Facebook page, I deleted. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't want anything to do with ghosts. I don't want anything to do with paranormal. I'm going to become a member of the PTA, and I'm going to make cupcakes and raise my family. And that's the goal I had. And lo and behold, it has not happened yet.
No, not meant to be.
No, it's not yet.
Oh gosh, but Kristin is on Facebook under Kristin Lee. Now there is another Kristin Lee that's not you. So when you click on the Kristin Lee, you have to look for her pretty face, and that's the one you'll be looking for.
Yes, not the violin player, Kristin Lee. She's cool. She's a badass. She just shreds.
And you can, Kristin has the information on that like page, and the website is what, thebellairehouse.com?
It's bellairehouse.webs. Let me see your phone go. I need your phone. I don't know what the website is. I'm sorry.
I think it's
Kat does that. But if you go to the Bellaire House Facebook page, Bellaire House on Facebook, that like page, all of the websites and videos and everything's on there. Yeah. Just give me the phone. I'll look it up for you. It'll take a minute for his phone to come back on.
I thought it was bellairehouse.com. But
it's .webs. It's
it is? Oh, it is? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's wow. Sounds like an interesting house for paranormal investigators.
Yeah, and I have it up for sale as a paranormal attraction. And if anybody wants to buy the Bellaire House, it comes with a manager and it comes with a groundskeeper. You know what I'm saying? So, you don't want to be the groundskeeper anymore? No, he just comes with a manager. Because our goal is to go live in peace and tranquility on the beach and just retire.
Oh, no, I don't blame you. I'm so sorry it didn't work out for you, Kristin, because I have a feeling that the house is really going to get really more well known than before and become quite something that people are going to want, to put on their TV, to do events. And
I know.
and you know, it takes a while. I don't know how long you've owned the house, but it does
11
take.
years.
Oh no! What have you been
Yeah.
doing with 11 years of this? I know 2 of them was shut down, but if you had kept the momentum going and kept putting events out, the house would have been well known, like the Valeska house or the Sally house.
Somebody would have died, and I can't have that on my
They
conscience.
would have died.
Yeah, that's what I was scared of. I felt it, and when my brother went through that window, I told Mr. Johnston, I said, you need to pull the plug, because he was the investor at the time. I didn't ask for this. I filed bankruptcy on that house, and I walked away. And I wrote that book for the next homeowners of the Bellaire House to give them a heads up. Well, when I came back from Boston to have to give Jim Chase all this money for not keeping my lawn up, but I didn't own the lawn. In my mind, I didn't think I owned the house. He said, what do you want to do with the house? I said, I don't want it. He said, do you want to sell it? I said, absolutely. He said, I'm going to call my cousin. I said, we'll get him here in 10 minutes. So Jim Johnston came, and he said, what are you going to do with the house? And I said, you're going to buy it. And he said, how much do you want? I said, $1. And he said, you're crazy. I said, I know. And then we got serious, and he pulled me aside. He said, look, he said, you've been on TV. You wrote a book. He said, this book is just going like wildfire throughout the United States of America. He said, why don't you let me invest this huge amount of money, and you help us build revenue for Bellaire. He's like, just come on. He's like, you're born in Bellaire. You live in Bellaire. Help us out. And I'm like, the first second that somebody gets hurt in that house, I'm going to punch you in the face, and then you're going to stop doing all of this. So about the third person that got hurt in the house, that's when he finally realized, hey, this just isn't entertainment. This just isn't a spooky ghost story. This is real stuff. So that's when, and then God, even staff started turning against each other. Staff was just ruthless. And then this butthole, I'm sorry to say, there was just so much negativity. I mean, my God, it was just like a walking nightmare. This butthole, and I'm not even going to mention his name, and I don't like to speak negative about people, but he had promised me that he was going to build me a website. So what this guy did was he turned around. He did indeed build the website, but he built it under his name to where I could never have it, and he started bashing me and putting my home address on there, and my name, and my kid's name, and to where people could find me. And he would say that I would, be on drugs, and no, never happened. And he had it for sale. He had the website for sale for $5,000. He's in prison now. God took care of him, but that's the kind of stuff that I dealt with back then. And when I walked into this again, I was so scared. I thought that's what the paranormal people, I thought that's what they did. And I didn't want any part of it. That's why I don't do a lot of interviews, and I don't really put myself out there, because I thought that, and I apologize now, because I know that, my God, the paranormal community is definitely not like that, but I had stereotyped it like that guy, and like all of the drama that was going on, when in return, it was just that guy and the activity that was in the Bellaire House that was doing it to the whole staff. You know what I mean?
Oh, God. Well, there is drama in the paranormal, believe me.
Well, I don't like drama. I'm just, people call me an old hippie sometimes, but I'm just all about peace, love, happiness, and, making sure that people are okay. I don't like drama. I just don't. Stay away from it.
Oh, I know. I do too, believe me. What's the name of your book?
It's called 1699 Belmont Street, A Portal to Hell. The hard copies are sold out. They've been sold out for a long time, but the Amazon and the Barnes & Noble has the digital copies. So if you just Google Kristin Lee, 1699 Belmont Street, A Portal to Hell, I think they're $9.99 for that. You can get it on your
Kindle?
iPad or phone or whatever.
Aren't you going to have any more books published?
I'm supposed to.
You need to do that, Kristin. Come on.
I'm working on it. I am. I start it, and I just get so emotional, and I just break down, and I have to learn how to separate myself from that, But having that house come back, when I do write the next book, and I will, because I have 3 chapters of it already completed, I'm not going to write it like I wrote the 1699 Portal to Hell. It's not going to be about me. It's going to be more educational, and it's going to be more geared more toward research and data collection and demonology, angelology, protection, paranormal protection. So it will be more educational, but also too, I'll have case by case by case. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be about that thick when I'm done with it.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now tonight, with you talking about your story, I'm assuming that in the book there's a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, my gosh. Yeah, I just poured it all out. And it was more of therapy than anything, just to surrender and release, because I remember after we finished up that documentary, I came home to my townhouse and I sat at the kitchen table and it was dawn, and I just kind of sat like this, and then it just started. I started, and it didn't stop for like 3-4 months. It didn't stop. It just
wow.
Yeah, it came quick.
Oh.
It felt like Virginia Woolf, like on a manic phase,
Now you're having an event again this October?
We're having a couple events. Rick Hayes is coming after Bishop Long. Bishop Long is coming the 6th, the 7th, and 8th of October. And he's going to be doing, what is your password, Goat? I'm sorry. Hold on.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. And he's going to be doing demonology lecture, and he's also going to be talking about some of the exorcisms that he's performed, like the solemn rite exorcisms. So he'll be there, and then he's going to investigate with people as well. And he's coming October 7th and 8th, and tickets are available at the BellaireHouse.webs.com. That's the website. I'm finally there. And then after Bishop comes, Rick Hayes is coming. Do you know who Rick Hayes? He's a very well-known, famous psychic. Kat Lang contacted him, and she coordinated that event. He will be at the, oh gosh, what is it? I don't see it's not on here. Anyway, he's going to be here on the October 28th to do an investigation of the house, like a psychic investigation, where people can walk through with him from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. But also he's going to be doing gallery readings up at the, I believe it's the Hampton Inn up at Dallas Pike, West Virginia. So if anybody wants any kind of medium messages or psychic predictions, gallery style, Rick will be doing that. But then, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I don't remember who else is coming. Like I said, Kat Lang's the person to get a hold of, because, I made lasagna today.
Oh.
I washed laundry and did lasagna and took psychic calls.
But now, Kristin, you were also on a psychic hotline, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. I'm on a couple of them. I do work for Heirloom. It's a Fort Lauderdale, Florida psychic hotline. And I work for a very I'm not allowed to say where I work. It's against my contract. But it's the best psychic and most, you see commercials on it all the time. And I'm not allowed to use my real name, but I do work for them too. Mm-hmm. If I would be in a major contract breach if I said their name, so I can't, because then clients would call me. You know what I'm saying? And then I would be terminated, and I don't want to lose.
No. We don't want that to happen.
Right. Yeah, but I do have private clients too, and I have some clients that come here to my home, not just for psychic readings and mediumship, but they also come for massage and Reiki and past life regression. And just, healing and balance. So there's a lot. There's a lot that I do metaphysically that I prefer to do other than the Bellaire House.
Oh gosh, Kristin, I'm sorry, and but with what's going on now, I wish you the best of luck and more
Thank you.
people to rent the house out so you can make some more money. And I know it's going to get more well known. I know that. So, but I wish you the best of luck, and thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to
thank you for
finally
having
meet
me.
you. I mean, I think we were trying to get together last year and it didn't happen.
I know. Like I said, it's best just to call me, you know. I always answer my phone, and if I don't answer my phone, I'll get back to people right away.
Well, well, I know that now. Oh,
yeah, that Facebook thing can be screwy sometimes.
Thanks so much, Kristin. My
You're
best
welcome.
wishes
Thank you.
to you. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Wow. It was such a pleasure to have Kristin on the show. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for being here. And don't forget to give the show a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'm going to do some shout-outs. You guys want some shout-outs? Oh, I'm glad you guys liked it. Yes, she's a wonderful person, and I feel really bad. You know, she has such she's got a haunted house going for her, and I feel so bad that she doesn't have a connection with it, but she knows the house and she's lived in it, and it sounds like nobody will stay in that house. So, all right, let me do some shout outs. Yeah, Unique Annie, hi sweetheart. Sean Bodine, Nancy Suplavita, The Unseen Scene, Janice Bolt, Lucas Langer, Butterfly Kisses, Cassandra 50, Ginger Simmons, Joey Small. Oh, wait a minute, Zoe Small, hold on. Hey, Zoe, did you ask me for my friendship on Facebook? I'm not accepting more friends on Facebook. I'm very, very selective of who I'm accepting now on Facebook, and I did see somebody with Zoe something small, I think. Let me know if that's you, because if it is, I will accept it. Tiffany Twisted, Maria Hernandez. Okay, go ahead. I stopped it. Candy Roberts. Hi, Candy. Tina Nichols, Maria Hyatt, Joyce Lynn. Okay, guys, come on. There's 130. That COD player. Oh, you liked it? Yeah, I feel bad for her too, COD. Mama Joe Buffalo Woman. Hi, Jeremy Lagus. Hey guys, I want to ask you guys. Hold on. Let me stop this. Let me see if I can stop it. Oh, come on, stop. Okay, wait a minute. Oh my God, you guys I want to talk to Jeremy for a second. Jeremy isn't. Hold on. Oh man. You went too fast, and I wanted to talk to Jeremy for a second. Darn it. Oh, God. Okay, you guys are killing me. Okay, I'm going to have to let it go now. Okay, Andrea Bonner. Scowling Wolf. Wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. Mitch 22. Maria Hyatt. Janet Wolf. Super Witchy Gamer. Catlin Zale, Mike Vicino. Oh, some Italians are in here. Kristin's Italian. L. Miller, River. Hey, River. Anybody else want to shout out? Royce, there you are. Oh, thank you so much, Royce. Royce has not been feeling well, guys. Send poor Royce your positive vibes. He's not been well. And Royce and Crystal and Unique Annie, thank you so much, you guys, for being my mods tonight. It seems like everything was great tonight. I love you guys. John Rad, Donna Gorton. Who else? There's still 128 left in here. Cassandra 50. Oh, I said Cassandra 50. I did see Ginger Simmons. I don't know if I said hi to her. Who else wants a shout out? Anyway, Jeremy, The Unseen Scene. Okay, anybody else? Maria Haworth. Okay, I want to say something. Jeremy, I'm going to have Jeremy come on the show, and I've got to make a date for him. He's got a fascinating career. And hi, Jimmy Cortez, honey. Oh, also for poor Jimmy, he needs your positive prayers and vibes too, everybody, please. And I'm going to have Jeremy talk about it. It's going to be pretty interesting. Justin Elias, hi, sweetheart. Gamer for Retribution. Are you new to the show? I don't think I've seen you before. Joanne Gray, thank you for joining us. Joanne Gray. Noel Morin, let's see. Noel Morin, right? Okay. Thank you, Maria. Anybody else want to shout out? And I can't remember who my guest is last week. I didn't bring my calendar with me. Oh, sorry guys, I didn't bring my calendar with me. Hey, oh, Zippy Davis, Aaron Kemp. I'm afraid I'm going to screw that up. All right, let me see if I can try it. Okay, so at the bottom of the chat window, dots, do a pop out. All right, so I'm doing a pop out. Okay. Oh, come on. I don't know. Okay, Royce, thanks, honey. I'm trying that. Angel Simons, Lynn Bowling. Wow. Greta T. Anybody else want to shout out? So everybody, do a group hug. I love all you guys. Thank you so much. Every week for joining me. I really appreciate it. BC Bounds, Twin Beats, wait a minute, oh my God, Twin Beats Etheric Energy. Thanks, Royce, I did it. Snapple, oh God, Snappleivacy? Snappleivacy. I don't know, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. But Zoe, I need to know if that was you so I can accept your friendship if that was you. Group hugs, everybody. Love you guys. Group hug, group hug. Don't. Hey, also, Royce, would you give them my like page on Facebook? Would you guys give my show? Would you guys give that page? It's a fan page for Do You Believe on Oh, hi, Kathy Salento. Yeah, it's Do You Believe fan page on Facebook. If you would go over there and give that page a like, I'd appreciate it. And happy Mother's Day to those who are mothers. I'm so looking forward to this weekend. I hope you all have a happy Mother's Day and enjoy your day. I'm going over my sons, my daughter-in-laws, all my kids, my other daughter, they'll be there. Oh, okay, Zoe. And make sure, Zoe, that you have my correct, I have 2 Facebook pages besides the like page. You can also message me on the like page as well. Diane Zeman, hey Diane, hi honey. Now Diane Zeman, she's the one... Royce, I'm screwing this whole thing up. I'm sorry. I don't know how to do it. We'll have to talk on the phone. Diane Zeman's the one that did that show with me on the Interdimensional. Fabulous show if you ever go into the archives. Sandra Miller, Greta T. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Well, there's still over 100 people. There's 113. Anybody else want to shout out? I love my weekends. Yeah. Next time, if Diane's in the area, she lives in New York, and next time if she's ever in the area when I'm doing a show, I'll have her on with me. she could do a show with me. Okay, everybody. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining me on the show tonight. I really appreciate you coming in every week and watching the show. And thank you so much. And I love you guys. Group hug. Hugs and kisses to everybody. And I guess I'll go. I don't have anything else to say. Just be safe out there, and I love you guys, okay? And we do have some, like Jimmy and Royce, that has not been well. You know, send them positive vibes so they can get better. Okay? Did I miss anybody that wanted a shout out? There's still 106 left now. Jeremy. Thanks. All right, everybody. I'm going to go now. And I love you guys. Love you, love you, love you. And I'll see you next week, okay? And don't forget, if you want to sign up for, if you want a reminder from me, Royce knows how you can do it as well to get the sign-ups. Royce, he can explain that to you. But if you want to go to my website, ParanormalZone.TV, and send me a message, I think it's an email or a contact, you can sign up for show reminders. And I sent them out today. I don't know if you got them or not, but I did send them out. All right. Oh, Anita Ackerman, Elaine Michael, Jay Alford. You guys creep up. All right, Royce, I'm going to talk to you after the show. Okay, I just want to get a cup of coffee, and I'm going to call you right after the show. Okay, everybody. Good night. I love you guys. There's still 108 watching, so thank you so much. And if those who are still watching that want to join us in the chat room, you're more than happy to join us. We've got a great chat room. It's one big family. It's the same people we have every week, and it keeps growing. And everybody is really nice to one another, and that's what we like, respecting one another, huh? All right, night, everybody. I love you guys. Good night. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Good night.